Hey everyone, it's February 1st, which means this is the first review of Toho Month. I will be reviewing 15 science fiction / monster movies made from Toho, the same studio that created Godzilla. There are some movies that I won't be getting around to reviewing because I haven't seen them, and this isn't every day. Obviously, there are more days in the month than there are reviews, so there's going to be a specific schedule, but without further ado, let's just jump into our first review. And we're kicking things off with the studio's first monster movie to not have Godzilla in it, Rodan, released 60 years ago in 1956. The movie takes place in a small mining village in Japan. A group of miners have been attacked by a group of dragonfly caterpillars called Meganulon, so the village is trying to figure out how to kill them. One of the miners, played by Toho veteran Kenji Sahara, gets trapped in the mine, and once he pops up again, he has amnesia. He can't remember what happened after he got lost in the mine. So, through a series of events, he regains his memory and then remembers that while in the mine, he came across this giant egg that hatched the flying monster Rodan, which ate all the Meganulon, and as soon as he gets his chance to tell everyone what he saw, Rodan escapes from underground and flies off to wreak havoc on Japan. So this came out 1 year after Godzilla Raids Again, the Godzilla sequel from 1955, and this is the first monster movie that Toho made in color. So this is kind of an important movie to watch if you're starting to get into the Toho science fiction monster genre, or if you've already seen all the Godzilla movies. Besides its importance and place in history among Toho, it's a very well-made movie on its own. I like how the movie opens up with the antagonist of the film being these giant caterpillars, because when you go into this movie, you're thinking, alright, there's going to be a giant pteranodon flying around Japan, causing havoc, this is going to be awesome, and then you're like, okay, that's weird that caterpillars start out. I mean, some people might look at it as disappointing, but I think it's a neat twist. It's a little extra thing in there to make the movie a tad more interesting. And the characters are good. We have Kenji Sahara, who is a well-recognized Toho actor from the golden age of science fiction, and he does a pretty good job, especially when he has to regain his memory when he thinks about the hatching of Rodan. You can see the terror on his face, and he manages to sell it pretty well. And then you have other actors who still do a good job, like Yumi Shirakawa, who plays Kenji Sahara's love interest in the film, and Akihito Hadata, who is most famous for playing Dr. Serizawa in the original Godzilla. He plays a scientist here with a minimal role, but it's enjoyable. But obviously the big thing that can be taken from this movie is Rodan. Rodan is basically a giant pteranodon and would be one of the top 5 most popular monsters that Toho has created, along with Godzilla himself, Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Mechagodzilla. Some of the effects on Rodan may be a little bad by today's standards because you can obviously see the strings that are holding the suit actor up during the Fukuoka rampage. But this was Toho's first attempt at a flying monster, so you could kind of give them some slack, especially since as the studio kept making more monster movies, the better they got at hiding the strings in certain shots. One other surprise about the movie is that there's actually 2 Rodans, because usually in these Toho monster movies, there's never 2 of the same monster, unless it's the Mothra larva, but even that's pretty rare to come across. So the fact that a second Rodan pops up during the Fukuoka rampage is pretty neat. You don't see it coming. Although in the US version, they established that there's a second Rodan immediately. Like, once Rodan pops out of the earth, they say, oh look, there's another Rodan! Again, proving that 90% of the time, the Japanese version is better than the American version. Now, even though this movie is really important, it's hard to really recommend this to non-monster movie fans. For example, the movie, while it does start off in an interesting way with the Meganulon being the enemy of the movie, it takes a long time for Rodan to pop up. This is an hour and a half, and Rodan doesn't pop up until 45 minutes in, and even then, he doesn't start going on his rampage until 55 minutes in, so you're just kind of waiting for Rodan to pop up, and after a while, even I was like, okay, can we see the title monster already? Even the original Godzilla first popped up in the first 20 minutes. So that's something that can be seen as disappointing. And then obviously there are some primitive special effects, and the worst are the composite shots. Whenever actors are in front of a green screen, it's easy to tell when they're in front of a green screen. However, if this movie was made in black and white, you would never have noticed that. And given that this is Toho's first monster movie in color, you can kind of let them slide on that, but still, it doesn't look too good. However, in the end, I think Rodan is a really good movie. It's fun. It's no masterpiece. It doesn't even come close to the original Godzilla. But it is a very important movie because it basically set the groundwork for how Toho would make future monster movies. And as I mentioned, it introduced one of Toho's most famous monsters, Rodan, who would appear throughout the Godzilla series in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, Invasion of the Astro Monster, Destroy All Monsters, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, Godzilla Final Wars, and he's set to be in the sequel to Gareth Edwards' Godzilla from 2 years ago. So that will be fun to see. So I'm going to make 2 ratings for this. If you are getting into Toho monster movies, then this is definitely an important movie to see because it introduces one of Godzilla's most popular friends or foes. So for that, I would say it's a good movie, but it's not great. And that's kind of the rating I would give personally. But for the general audience there who's not really into this kind of stuff, I would suggest watching at your own risk. You'll be entertained in some parts. You might laugh at some bits, but it's not that strong of a movie where I can recommend it to non-monster movie fans. So that's how I feel. Overall, again, for me personally, I think it's a good movie, but it's not as great as I remembered it when I was a kid. And that's my review for Rodan. Leave a comment and tell me what you thought of the movie. If you've seen it, what did you think? Like, subscribe, share with your friends. Don't forget to check out my official website, therealmrrobinson.com. And don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, and Periscope. And this is The Real Mr. Robinson telling you there is only one.